Salam and hi everyone, I'm Farouk from Have Halal Will Travel. Welcome to Hello Spring Festival, HHWT's virtual Lunar New Year event, where we welcome everyone to join in the fun, whether you celebrate or not. Now, our lives have changed because of COVID-19. We're not sure when we can travel again. Celebrations and festivities that we look forward to with our loved ones also have changed. That's why this year, we are bringing the festivities and experiences to you at home. Now, as part of our virtual event, we are bringing you live shows over 2 weekends, exciting articles and videos on things to do during the long weekend, as well as exciting giveaways. Now we have one grand draw and 2 mini draws as part of this event. All you have to do is head over to hellospringfest.com and look out for the red packet lucky draw booths. Now we're still waiting for more people to join us for this live, so before we introduce our guests to this segment, here's a short video about Chinese culture and celebrating Lunar New Year in Singapore's Chinatown.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, my name is Denise Diana. I have been a Muslim revert since 2009, but truth to be told, I have not been to Chinatown for a very long time. So I'm very excited to be bringing them. So let's go. We can actually do a tea tasting at Chinatown. This is certainly a very eye-opening experience with a lot of significant history in the Chinese culture. So I'm very happy to be here with my son. In Chinatown, you can actually find Singapore's mosque as well as the oldest Hindu temple, and it's very interesting to be able to see all of them on one street. Right, son?
Yeah!
I didn't expect to have halal food at the Chinatown food street. So let's eat. The lights are just turned on. It has been a very long time since I saw the Chinese New Year light up in Chinatown.
Hi everyone! We're just waiting for more people to come in. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Muslim Converts Share About Lunar New Year. And so as we know now, Lunar New Year is a time of forgiveness and about family and togetherness. You got your reunion dinner, you're visiting and catching up with your loved ones. Now, Lunar New Year this year is a lot different from other years. We've got a COVID-19 pandemic going on. So we are here to know how Chinese Muslim friends are actually celebrating Lunar New Year this year. So Lunar New Year is also celebrated by people of different races and religions, and the experience is especially unique for Muslim converts. So now, without further ado, let's introduce our guests, Mikhail, Siulim, Warda, Melanie, and Ali. Assalamualaikum and welcome to the show.
Waalaikumsalam. Hi everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
So you guys are doing well at home? Everyone doing well at home?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So as a new Muslim, as you know, new Muslim will have new needs like halal food, and there are some certain customs that you might not be able to participate in. So let's go back to the very first time of celebrating Lunar New Year as a Muslim now. Mikhail, let's go over to you first. How did your family actually accommodate to your needs during the festivities? Have things been like different ever since you converted?
Hi, my name is Mikhail. Assalamualaikum, everyone. So for me, I just was sharing with some of the participants just now, right? So I've been a Muslim for like only 4 years. I think some of the participants here are definitely more experienced than me. But I think I consider myself to be very lucky because in my first year, I think right after I converted, my dad was very supportive of my decision to become Muslim, and ever since then he really made an effort to change a lot of things in the house, including what we ate. So Chinese New Year for me is all about steamboat, right? And my family has always been eating steamboats since I was young. And one of the biggest changes he's made is to really change the soup base from something that has pork, or rather made from pork broth, right, to fish based. And it's something that I really appreciate, because I can say that not many, not everyone's as lucky as me, right, to have things that are like that. And so for goodies, right, he'll make an effort to say, hey, is this halal or not, and can you have it? So I'm pretty lucky that way, lah. Other than that, I think not much has changed. We still go visit family, and they don't treat me any different. I think really is down to the food, lah, which I've been very lucky. I still stress again.
Yeah, so I think food is a very important part of Lunar New Year and actually any festivity. So I think it's really great that your father actually changed the ingredients to suit, like, to accommodate like your needs and stuff like that. So I think we'll go over to Sulim right now, because I think Sulim, you grew up in the US. I'm sure your experience of celebrating Lunar New Year is actually different from everyone else here. So how is that like for you actually?
Growing up in the US, I wasn't really a Muslim until maybe the last 2 years I lived in the US. I guess like he said, the food was different. If you want to ask the US versus Malaysia how they celebrate it differently, it's different, but it's all about the same, where the families get together. Over in Malaysia, I actually have a lot of Chinese Muslim friends that are just like family. So they invite me over for Chinese New Year.
Nice. So do you guys do like the yisang and everything, like the lohe in Malaysia as well, like with your Chinese?
No.
Like
I've only heard of yisang when I came to Malaysia. I've never heard of it before.
So
It's a Cantonese thing,
Yeah.
It's a very Malaysian and Singapore Chinese thing, right?
The food is similar except for the yisang. That's like the only difference. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Now, Ali, let's go over to you, Ali. I know, I think everyone here has Chinese blood or like Chinese Muslim, but you are Indian Muslim convert. So how can you actually relate to these experiences? I want to know like what is the differences or similarities between like different kinds of reverts, different races. Yeah. Could you tell us more about your experience?
Okay. Well, basically, I was brought up in a place where we lived with a lot of Chinese neighbors. Therefore, I was given the opportunity to actually partake in Chinese New Year festivals and also some other festivals. But I was so young back then, and this was a Buddhist family that we were very close with, and I would be invited usually for the reunion dinner, which is usually mostly done a night before the actual Chinese New Year, and we were invited. We would join them in the dinner and all. And of course, something which I love to observe is the commencement of the Yusheng. When all of us will have to stand up, and we will to stand by our chopsticks, and all of us will make a good wish for our family, for our friends. And this was something that was very interesting, because as an Indian, we don't have that kind of a tradition in our festivals. And now that I'm a Muslim, it's not something that is also commonly practiced in our festivals either. But something interesting about Chinese is that they never fail to make a lot of wishes and prayers for their family and friends before the commencement of the Yusheng. So that was something very nice that I enjoyed in my neighbor's invitation. And also, of course, this has been one thing I've learned also, that unity is very important, and my neighbors has introduced that to me since I was very young.
Nice to know that we like you have Chinese neighbors and they invite you over. I think not all of us have the experience, but for me as well, like I only started going to like my friends' houses for reunion dinner, so called in like last few years, and I really enjoy the time we have together. Even though I'm not Chinese, but I actually get to enjoy the festivities, revel in the festivities. So I want to ask you, Ali, during Deepavali, like, do your family also ensure that you have halal food and your needs are accommodated as well?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, we have very supportive family members and relatives. So they are aware that I am now no longer, I'm no longer allowed to consume the non-halal food. So it's very nice of them that each time when there is a family gathering, especially when it's religious pertaining, they ensure that halal food is being served for myself. And also they respect my views. Therefore, they don't really force me to be part of any kind of ritual. But however, we still have a very strong bond, and they make sure not only halal food is for me, they make it for all, so that I don't be doubtful when it comes to family feasts.
Thank you for so much for sharing that side of your story. Because I think in Singapore and in Malaysia, we live in such a multicultural and multi-religious society that sometimes things they might seem like different festivities, but in the end, I think it's all about family and togetherness, and it's all about celebration. So I think I'm sure that not every convert story is the same. Now, Melanie, I know you've had quite a different experience with Lunar New Year. Now, I want to know, how was your journey like?
Is Chinese, my dad's Indian. So my challenge from the very beginning was always my mother. Firstly, she couldn't accept why I wanted to marry a Malay Muslim. In that sense, I couldn't really understand why she couldn't accept that, because in the 70s, she actually defied custom by actually marrying an Indian. So I would have thought that she would be able to understand the challenges that I was going through. But she didn't. But perhaps the greater challenge for her was actually accepting me as a practicing Muslim. As a new revert, like any new reverts would tell you, the first few years was more about finding yourself and finding yourself with your religion. So having to deal with defending my faith early on with someone so close to me was actually very tough, because I was also in that journey of gaining knowledge for myself as a Muslim. And that time, my knowledge was actually very limited.
Yeah, so what about so now your family, like now your mom accept you, how is it like when you go for like Chinese New Year reunions? Is it like the same as what the rest of them experience as well?
I'm also quite lucky because my brother is also a revert. So we have always made the arrangements where to have the Chinese New Year Eve dinner. So it's
Okay.
much easier these days, yeah.
That's really interesting to hear. Okay,
Yeah.
so I know that a lot of Muslim converts actually face a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes. So I think there's also like a society or community's expectations of what it means to be Muslim, or what it means to be a certain type of Muslim. So I know, Warda, you've been a convert for 25 years now. That's a really long time. So I want to know, like, what are some of the misconceptions or like stereotypes you have faced as a Chinese Muslim convert yourself? Would you guys share with us?
Sure, sure. To non-Muslims, something that I do not celebrate Chinese New Year since I'm a revert. So I correct them as much as I can. I tell them I do celebrate Chinese New Year, do have my reunion dinner, and my visit during the CNY as well. I still carry my surname, have my Chinese name, something that I may be a Malay now, but I will always tell them my race is Chinese, and the only difference is our religion.
Nice. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I noticed that you have some Lunar New Year decorations and in the
Oh,
background,
yeah.
even some Chinese Islamic calligraphy.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Like, what do they mean actually?
Oh, it's just a combination of both. I think it's quite interesting especially for today's team. Yeah, so let's talk about the Chinese deco, which is over here. On this side, it says 大吉大利. It means prosperity and good tidings throughout. And over here, it reads 出入平安. It means safe and sound when you go in and out of your house. And in the middle, of course, the Chinese Islamic calligraphy, it means Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I think it's a very common phrase. So whenever we do anything, we always will say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate.
So interesting. I like how like the two different things actually combine, and it really looks like perfect in your background. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So Melanie and Ali, how about you guys? I know like are these misconceptions the same for you? Because like for Melanie, you're Chinese and Indian, and then for Ali, you're Indian Muslim. So is this something that you guys go through as well, the misconceptions and the stereotypes?
I think there's three misconceptions I can think of. Firstly, when you convert, there's the expectation that we are supposed to automatically know A to Z about Islam. Secondly, the other extreme, which is that we cannot possibly know anything because we are new Muslims. The best though is actually if you converted, that you're automatically Malay. There's no offense to anyone, but this is the biggest misconception that I feel, because I'm still Chinese Indian and I'm proud of my heritage. The challenges that reverts go through sometimes cannot be understood by just anyone. Through the years, I see what is important in my journey, which is actually doing things at my own pace, on my own terms. Because this is my faith, and this is the most amazing gift that Allah has given to me. One should not be pushed to do things which you are supposed to do because of cultural reasons, because it may just be cultural and could not be totally Islamic. I just want to share one point which I've read somewhere that says that reverts who leave Islam sometimes do it not because of lack of faith, but because of their experiences with community. So we ourselves as reverts, we need to know our personalities, because we are all different and Allah created us all differently. We have to feel comfortable with ourselves, because ultimately relationships with people, with our spouses, with our family members are tough. And especially if you're a revert and you're in a revert cross-cultural marriage.
Nice to know that you've actually gone through that journey. And then now let's go to Ali. What about you? Like, what are the different misconceptions that you have faced yourself?
I think, so long you are born in Singapore or somewhere in the Southeast Asia, I think this is a sentiment that I think majority of we converts would experience, of being stereotyped as Malay. So probably, I will always joke with my friends, maybe if I was converted in France, I would be now known as a French. However, yeah, I think that is just a stereotype made by our friends from other race, that when we embrace Islam, we have automatically become a Malay. I mean, personally, I don't take any offense. It doesn't seem very offensive to me. But however, it's a misconception, definitely. But what leads to the misconception is that when they assume that we are unable to now celebrate other festivals, like Deepavali and Chinese New Year, maybe even attending to Christmas invitations, things like this, it creates a kind of awkward moment when they want to invite, but at the same time, they're afraid of offending us and things like that. I think this is a misconception where we believe that we converts and even the born Muslims, we are always happy to accept invitations and attend other festivals celebrated by our friends from other faith.
Yes, I think you're right to say that. Like even though we kind of like sometimes make that mistake, but I think it's good that you share with us. So now I would like to know more about Sulim. So I know like in the US, right, how different were these misconceptions about Islam or being Chinese, and like how have you managed to kind of like strike an identity with being both Chinese and Muslim?
So when I was a Muslim in the States, I was only a Muslim there for about 2 years. But I can tell you a story that when I became a Muslim, to my family, to my Chinese family, they were just in shock, and they were just like, "What do you mean you're a Muslim now? Why don't you want to be Chinese anymore?" Then I was like, I'm still Chinese, I'm just a Muslim. And then when I come to the Muslim side, there in the US, actually, I don't know if it happens here, but a lot of the Muslims told me that I wasn't allowed to celebrate Chinese New Year. Now, the common misconception here is that there's a difference between culture and there's a difference between religion. They are a completely different thing. Culture is something that's, celebrated due to like background and everything. And religion is religion. This is something that I think is another topic, but like that is the main misconception when it comes to not just in the US, I'm talking about everywhere in the world. So yeah, that's what I experienced.
What about you, Mikhail? I know your father is Buddhist, and then I know you had like some struggles going through the first few days of Ramadan and stuff. Can you tell us more about your experience then?
Well, I think I think my experience would be much, I guess, easier than a lot of reverts, right, that I've personally met with, right. So for me, the choice was mine to make, and when I told my parents, they were at first against it, but I always told myself, right, if you know if Islam were to truly be so good, that was before I converted, right. If this religion was so good, and so many people actually believed in it, then must be something different about it. So as I studied, I realized, oh yeah, there is something different about it. And as I went on, I realized that the best way to show others how beautiful my religion is actually to exemplify the values of Islam, which is about compassion, it's about love, it's being, it's harmonizing with people who may not share the same values as you, right, or even religion. And that itself like may have came across to everyone I met. And for my dad, I think I love him even more than, it's hard to say, but maybe before I was converted, maybe I didn't care that much about him, right? But after I converted, I guess, in my heart, it pulled us together, instead of separated us. So it's quite an interesting experience for me.
Yeah, because I think like for most converts, right, even for yourself, Mikhail, you have a challenge to reconcile like both your
Yes.
faith tradition. So I think a lot of it takes time, and some people even take years to like mend the relationships that they have with their family, and there's a lot of give and take going on. So I want to know, like, for Mikhail, what does Lunar New Year actually mean to you?
For me, right? So I have actually a very interesting story, because I went to many schools in Singapore, right? So when I was in kindergarten, I attended a not Methodist kindergarten school, right? So we studied the Bible and so on. And then after that, when I grew older, I went to a Buddhist primary school, which is my religion, in my predominant religion in my family, right? Where we studied Buddhist scripture and so on. But whatever Siulin said was true, right? There's a difference between religion and culture, right? Because every Lunar New Year in my primary school, there will be a monk coming to my school, and he would say something about the New Year, right? And he always says one thing. He says, 一年之计在于春, right? So, which means the whole year's plan, right? If you really loosely translate it, the whole year's planning, right, start in spring. So to me, the Lunar New Year always means the beginning of something new, right? So I guess in this part of the world, we think, oh, the 1st of January it's the start of the year, and that's where you make your resolutions and everything. But to me, it really starts, and the ball really starts rolling for me, right, after Chinese New Year. And it has always been like that since I was young. So it means a fresh new start to me, right? And that anything is possible, and we should really put our best foot forward for the year.
Nice one. Yeah, I think it's a good like reset for the year, right? So like every time you think about the new year, and then you think about Lunar New Year, and then you know that it's a restart, and you can start with refreshing yourself and also those around you as well. So for Melanie, I'm interested to know, how do you actually, for yourself, how do you actually reconcile your faith and tradition? I know for you, it's juggling both your Chinese and Indian traditions together with faith. So could you tell us more about that?
Okay, because I come from a small family, so I try my best to take the initiatives to make my mother feel that she's actually still that we still have the gatherings and keep up with each other, and have that, because for her the Chinese New Year dinner is so significant. So like this year, what I plan to do is actually do probably a Zoom dinner with my mother and my relatives in Australia. So, okay, the other story is that I have really close cousins in Australia. And with regards to the topic you were talking about on halal food and such, surprisingly, being Australian and knowing much lesser about Islam than the normal Malaysian Muslim, they took more effort in trying to understand the kind of food that my husband and I could eat. So every time we go over, whether it's for Chinese New Year or any other celebrations, the importance of making sure that we had our halal food was always a priority. So alhamdulillah, I'm ever so grateful for having them in my life. And I hope that this yearly gathering can always continue in our lives, basically.
Oh, nice to know that even in Australia, right, they also like those your family in Australia? Are they your immediate family, like your brother, right?
No, no, my actually my dad's brother's family. So my dad's brother, my dad passed away. My uncle also passed away. So I'm very close to my cousins in Australia.
So for this year, you will be like just zooming call them lah, because in Malaysia, you guys are
Yeah.
having control.
Yeah, we are
order,
locked now, so we can't do much where we are. We can't travel as well. So
Nice. So now I want to know, like for Sulim as well, you're in Malaysia as well. So how are you actually celebrating Lunar New Year this year?
The same
You're at
as you.
home.
I usually go to close to a friend's home just to celebrate. And I always actually have, because I don't have actual blood family here, they're all in the US. I have a lot of close families. Sometimes they're not even Muslims. They just respect. The thing about I love about Malaysia is that there's a lot of people who just know, like they know not to put pork in front, and I think that's so respectful being in Malaysia. So I have actually a few homes to kind of visit on the day. So
Oh, that's nice to know. Like I know in Singapore, we're also limited to actually a maximum of 8 people visiting a particular house. So Warda and Mikhail, how have your family actually planned your day for Lunar New Year? Mikhail, how about you? Have you guys planned for your day yet?
Well, like three weeks before, my WhatsApp kept ringing, right? We have actually a family chat, and everyone started putting their dates and everything. So previously it was, I think they changed the rule halfway through, but we were already sorting our schedule, right? Who goes when and things like that. So when the eight people rule came and maximum 2 houses, right? We had to scramble all our plans, and we're spreading it out, I think, across 2 or 3 weeks. So every weekend we'll be visiting some relative, so now Lunar New Year is kind of extended for us, and I guess we're looking at Ramadan. I guess after that Eid, right, and the Eid celebrations will probably be like that as well.
I think it's actually more reasons to celebrate longer, right?
Yeah, eat more pineapple tarts and
Correct. So I'm pretty sure that everybody will need help with finishing the pineapple tarts as well.
yeah. We
So
don't need to exercise like Xiulin,
For Warda yourself, what about yourself? Have your family actually planned anything?
For my case, it's quite simple. My husband, me, and my 4 children. It's a total of 6, so we are able to actually visit my mom and celebrate the reunion dinner, the Chinese New Year as well. Yeah.
Nice to
So,
know.
but I think basically maybe we have do virtual for my relatives and my cousins, virtual, and as well as the low hay virtually.
Yeah, because I'm sure, like from what we've learned from the past year of COVID-19 and everything, now everything is can be done via Zoom. So sometimes
Yeah.
that's even like you can actually feel a family's presence and warmth through Zoom as well. Now, Warda, I want to ask you, like, do you have any advice to fellow Chinese Muslim converts out there, or even just any converts? Like, what are some of the wise words, since you've been a convert for 25 years? So, what are some of these wise words that you can actually tell them?
Or reverse. Be as Chinese Muslim as possible, and bring awareness to them that Islam is not just for a particular race. It's for all mankind. It's a way of life. I can be a Muslim and I can still observe my tradition as a Chinese. So just try to participate and get involved in a lot of family events where action speaks louder than words. Basically, all religion teaches good moral, respect and care for others and your parents, of course. So Islam is just a way of life and just submission to one and only Almighty.
Thank you for that bit of wise word. Now, one last thing, one last thing to ask all of you guys. So, Warda, one last thing. Let's go one round. In one sentence, what's your favorite part about Lunar New Year for you?
Reunion dinner. Love to eat.
Yeah. What about you, Melanie?
the pre-Lunar New Year shopping, the relaxing, the eating, spending time with family, and maybe also watching Jackie Chan movies.
Now, Ali, I know you don't celebrate as much as the rest, but you have your share of celebrating Chinese Lunar New Year. So, what about you? What is your favorite part whenever the Lunar New Year season comes around?
Okay, I think I mentioned it earlier on. Like I said, one of my favorite thing I like to see is that when all the family members before they begin with the mixture of the yusheng, all of them will be making wishes, and and those wishes are things like for long life for our family members and prosperity, and there'll be so much of laughters and all, and then they will begin the yusheng with a lot of happiness, and that is something which I admired the most about Lunar Festival, which like I said, I didn't really see it in other festivals, but definitely I would love to have this practiced in other events as well. Maybe for Muslims, before we break fast, we can start having this practice instead of just quietly making prayers for ourselves. We can take turns and go around the table, and everyone we can join the prayers. Yeah, this is something which I would love to take from the Chinese festival.
Nice one. I think a lot of things is about family and togetherness, and that's what I think makes us feel very happy and feel very warm to be present for Lunar New Year as well. Now, what about you, Siu Lim?
Said ang pao yet. So just kidding. Okay, so I think food, and definitely the celebration with everybody and the kids especially when they receive the ang paos. So
Okay, lastly, Mikhail, what about you?
For me, it's just the opportunity to be together, right? Because COVID has taught us one thing, right? That you can't plan for everything in your life, and it's driven families apart, and we some of us hardly get to see them or can't see them this year, right? So it made me realize the value of being together and spending time together, right? So to me, it's never always been about the food, because ever since I converted, a lot of things are, my favorite things are not within my reach anymore, like bakwa, right? So ever since I converted, I can't enjoy these things. So to me, it's always been about being together, and I think, especially this year, it's more valuable to me than any other year.
Yeah, I think it's for this year or like last year, it's taught us a lot about family, togetherness, and belonging. So talking about belonging, I know, Melanie, you have one more story to share about your experience, because you yourself, you're Chinese and Indian, and you have felt this sense of belonging when you were at Hajj. Can you tell us more about that, Melanie, before we wrap up the show?
Okay, naturally as a revert, some of us actually have that need to feel that we belong. I just have one story to share. In 2017, I actually got the opportunity to share a tent in Mina with Chinese Muslims from China. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know these ladies, but I felt so at home with them. It's just that suddenly I could just relate to them, keeping themselves hydrated, for example, by constantly boiling Chinese tea and red dates. I got so excited actually with all these small things that I actually called my mother and tried to get her to teach me some simple Chinese so that I can actually communicate with them. So I felt that this is Allah's special gift or sign to me, and I could actually bond with my mother for that short period of time because she couldn't comprehend nor accept why I needed to do my Hajj. So things like this, I think all of us should actually cherish.
Yeah, I know, like they always say, Allah actually works in mysterious ways. So I think you guys I'm thankful for the answers that you guys have shared with us today. And thank you so much, Mikhail, Sulim, Warda, Melanie, and Ali for joining us today. Now, for those of you at home, don't forget to visit hellospringfest.com to catch our other live shows, which are happening tomorrow. So some of them, one of them is we're going to be trying Halal Lunar New Year goodies. And Chef Ili Sulaiman from Malaysia will also be showing us how you can make your own DIY steamboat. So head over to hellospringfest.com for more information and for more things to do over the CNY long weekend, and click on our red packet lucky draw booths for a chance to win amazing prizes. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye.